Thank you very much, Robin. And again, thank you for all the guests who have taken time out of your schedules, especially in the Western world, to come and celebrate, as our beloved sister says, Africa Day, the 60th anniversary. Allow me, I'm part of the Hebrew Israelite community in the southern part of Israel, Dimona. Allow me first, as I always do, to give all honor and praises to the God of the Genesis creation, and to all the anointed personages who have continually moved forward to create, as Jesus Christ of Yehoeshahfaht Ben Israel said, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," a transformation of an earthly experience which will reflect the intent of the creative mind and purpose for all humanity. There's one particular aspect as we go into this, and this, I'm thankful to Robin. What can you do in 10 minutes? So in 10 minutes, I'd just like to leave you with some thoughts relative to the day and the occasion. There is a concept as we go back onto the African continent, and in Hebrew, the word shalom generally means peace, but Hebrew is unlike other languages. Shalom also comes from the root word shalem, and shalem means whole. And really, in the concept of being whole, what it means is that if something is not whole, you will not get justice. And without justice, you can't manifest peace. So peace is not a philosophical abstract. It's a practical social experience of individuals trying to work as a whole to be able to bring justice, and then through justice, you get peace. So what then do we see as we celebrate or look at Africa Day at this particular time, 60 years? We have to consider very, very carefully that when the fathers were struggling for liberation, what was the construct and the definition of the freedom that they wanted? And in 60 years, have they achieved it? The beloved sister said rightly that we're looking at breaking down borders to be able to create prosperity for everyone. But again, as my auntie would acknowledge, there is a key that goes past material acquirement. It says wisdom is better than silver and gold. So prior to 1442, when Prince Henry the Navigator got into Africa, there definitely had been a decline of a certain social mindset that caused Africans not to value what they had and give it away. It's not disappeared. The continent is abundantly rich. In fact, it feeds everybody upon the face of the earth. But I like to quip over here because, again, we're just dropping thoughts. Bob Marley says something, in the midst of abundant water, in the midst of the sea, the fool is thirsty. So, moving forward, Africa is not backward. For some reason, even though it has had a broad span of all kinds of education and all kinds of business ideas, something in the universe has held Africa from being able to link to the kind of the development that we've seen globally, and as such, not allow it to catch up. That does not mean that there aren't some breakthroughs on the continent as we celebrate liberation, but some way Africa is lagging. And now in the 21st century, we begin to find out that the models that we've seen or the civilization hegemonies that we've seen are not conducive for our ecology or human future existence. Consequently, I can then input, not from a biblical standpoint, but from a social transformation standpoint, maybe the stone that the builders had rejected has been preserved to become the head cornerstone. As the economists would put today, that in all the families upon the face of the earth, including all the continents, Africa has the most diverse human experience than anybody else. Africa has over 3,000 different ethnic groups, social developments and things, even though it's 55 countries. Nigeria alone has nearly 264 languages in Nigeria alone. Each language has its cognitive perception of how they view, manage, and handle reality. That's not being backward. That is intellect, which has been put aside by the world. So, in the Liberation Day, what are we expecting? More gold? Africa has abundant gold. I come from Ghana. The gold in Obuasi is one of the richest upon all the face of the earth, including South Africa. For 1 ton of ore, you get 1 ounce of gold. Diamonds? What? In Chebi in Ghana, they used to plug diamonds as recent as the Second World War off walls in the village when it rained. Moringa, Congo, has 1/3 of the botany of the whole world. And in fact, if they dam up the river, it would have enough electricity to power the whole of Africa and beyond. So, as we come today, and as we begin to see a continual degeneration of all of the models, and it just didn't start today, and it didn't start with color, it started with a mindset. A mindset. And now we must go back, just as the UPF is doing, to seek those mindsets which are regenerative, which value human existence, that see the organic environment as a component of our total security. As they said, Abraham sought a city whose builder and maker was the creator, not religion, was the creator. That means there's something in the intelligence of the universe that actually liberates us all. Not from a religious standpoint. What must we look for? We must look for truth in everything we do. And what is truth? The right knowledge of reality and its application. That means if something works for the betterment and the justice of everybody, it works for us. In closing, I would use the words of Dr. King on the African Liberation Day as we move forward. That the definition of liberation for Africa is definitely going to be totally different from the definition of liberation to many other individuals. You see, words have an impact and a context in which they're used. So you may be saying the same words, but you mean totally different things. And before I close out with Dr. King, I'll just use a word which normally is bandied about and most people feel it means the same thing, but it doesn't, which is the word love. And the word love is so philosophically abstract, and everybody feels when you use love, you're saying the same thing, but again, we know you're not. And then I can juxtapose that against liberation and Dr. King. Let's use love in closing on African Liberation Day. We use the word love and we get emotionally caught up. These aren't the times in existential threats to get emotionally caught up, because the reality affects a lot of people. And we see in Sudan now. So let's just take love. Love doesn't mean somebody's bought you some flowers on Valentine's Day. Because if we use love, even in its context, and I won't go into the Oxford Extended Dictionary, when you say the love of a mother, you may kiss your mother on the cheek. And the love of your wife, you may give her a peck on her lips. The love of your daughter, you kiss your daughter on her forehead. But what about the love of your Alsatian dog? Would you kiss it on the cheek, on the forehead, or on its mouth? Absolutely, you've used the same word, but you might rub little Bonzo so it wags its tail. But you've used the word 4 times, and each time the correlative action differs. So let's go to African Liberation Day. What kind of liberation would Africa look for? And Dr. King rightly said, it's not a color thing. Because something had happened in Africa 1442 to make Africa, which was once the cradle of civilization, now become a continent of corruption, dead bones, and mass starvation. Something had happened to allow Prince Henry the Navigator and those who came with one of the most traumatic historic experiences. We don't know how many died in the Middle Passage. Some numbers go to 100 million. We don't know how many suffered in the Rwanda genocide, but definitely we know in nearly 12 weeks, 100,000 people had been cut to death. But Dr. King rightly said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Africa has been preserved because, again, we see, with everything that has happened, they still have the innate cultural and social capacity to bounce back and love everyone. This model of liberation would help us to be more human and appreciative. And until we are able to provide an environment where everyone feels appreciated, everyone's potential is uplifted, and truth becomes the governing aspect, Africa or all humanity would have not been liberated. So as you come today to take time, let us remember that the stone that the builder has rejected one day, possibly, may become the head cornerstone. Thank you very much.